Hello and welcome to There Are No Bad Ports, Just Bad Players. I am a Jaded Gamer, and today I will be playing Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. Let's begin. The keybinds here are nothing special for me, however take special note of numpad 9, the aim key I chose. It'll be coming up later. Also, there is technically mouse control within this menu, however you can't swap tabs. There is no mouse cursor, and moving it slightly moves several slots up or down. Not particularly great in a port sense. Surely it would take extra effort to code out the mouse cursor than include it. So, let me take you through my first play experience with this game. It starts up, I get used to the controls, I make my way to the first roadblock.
Johannes.
Good. You're prepared. The next order of business is to...
I'll take care.
Was that a shard?
How did they get inside?
This was as far as I got on my first attempt at this game. Before I tell you why, let's discuss preferred control schemes.
This device responds to magic. Maybe I just need to hold my hand up to it.
Alright, let's take a minute to discuss keysets. As everybody knows, WASD. Pretty standard. I don't like it. Crams my hands into the corner. I can't use shift or control without going to a fucking Monster Hunter style hook. I've done enough of that on the fucking PSP. I also don't like it because it eliminates about half the keyboard. I mean, I can barely reach the J and K key. And if I was playing, say, an MMO, and I use one through whatever for the skills, I barely get to 7 while keeping my fingers on the, call them the home row, even though it's not. So that's an issue for me. So I started using TFGH. Took me about a week to adjust. Best thing I ever did for my gaming life. Gives me full range over here, up here, all the F keys if I need to. I can use Alt easily. I can reach everything over here with just my pinky. It's great. Now that's taking into account if you're also using the mouse with your other hand, which, let's face it, most games do. Not all though. The majority of them can be played like this, with the numpad. I like doing this. It works for me. I play Dark Souls like this. played Final Fantasy 13 free like this.
It's your funeral. I'll bring back lost time.
I even play 2D fighters using the numpad. It works well. It's not as accurate as, say, you would need for a shooter, but I don't play those, so that's not an issue for me. If I was playing an MMO, of course I would use the mouse. Now typically the numpad works fine for any game. I usually use 4862 for the camera controls, 13795 for, say, lock on with the 5, 1 and 3 for attack or block in Dark Souls, for example, heavy and light, you know, all that sort of stuff. You've got these keys here as well. You can reach these with your thumb or your index if you need to. They're usually bindable in games. And meanwhile, I've got all of these over here as well, giving me about 80% coverage on the keyboard, which is fantastic. However, some games don't allow the use of specific keys, and as you're about to see in, oh god, I forgot the name of it. Wow, this game's really left an impact on me. I think it's Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. You'll see that despite being able to bind a key, it won't actually work as intended. So let's get back to that. So the reason that I bring all that up is because that's how I like to play this type of game. TFGH and the numpad. It's comfortable for me without cramping my hands up. However, for whatever reason, when the people were porting this game, they seem to have left, I guess, the axis control on the cast button. So naturally you'd think, oh okay, I just have to press a directional key while holding it. No, that doesn't work. I don't know why. All I know is it doesn't. You have to instead use the mouse, which at best is extremely awkward to do in the middle of play, especially if you're under pressure to use the cast function. This also locks me out of using any directional casts, such as like ranged fireballs and such, in a direction of my choosing. Instead, I just have to use them forwards because that's the default, if I don't want to awkwardly press all these bloody keys to get around it. Such a bad decision on their part. Assuming they even realised this. Kind of thinking they didn't. The cast command also just doesn't seem to work sometimes. I have no idea why. There's also a small issue with the minimap. At no point did I set page up or page down for zoom. It just picked it for me. Why bother having rebindable keys at all if they're not all rebindable? While playing, I came across this wall that broke open and revealed a secret item. And all I could think was, fuck, now I've got to check every wall in the game. Otherwise, I'm gonna feel like I'm missing out on content and potentially important items. Although this technically isn't an issue with the game, more an issue with me, I thought I'd bring it up anyway. There's just a couple of issues I'd like to bring up before ending the video. This one involving this roadblock. Why can't I just walk around it? No, really, why? There's other areas in the game where the camera rotates. Why can't I make it happen here? Why can't I just sidestep around it? It's so fucking stupid. Why are the enemies capable of flying through the roof, the floor, the stairs, in and out of the screen? It's ridiculous. Did they find it too hard to program colliders for the enemies? And on that note, why am I able to attack through the floor? And come on. And finally, the thing that genuinely annoyed me the most in the game was this NPC who gives out quests to kill monsters. But every time you accept a quest, it kicks you out of the menu and you gotta go back through it all over again. And there can be upwards of 5, 10, 15 quests available depending on how often you check. And this is just basic game design. What an awkward mess of a game. I know that's just aping off previous Castlevania games, but everything I saw in this game had been done 10 years earlier. In the, I think it was Aria of Sorrow, or whichever one that was on the DS. That was the last Castlevania game I played. And there was nothing new. It was just copy-paste, one from the other. I'm surprised it isn't lawsuit material at this point. The sound the protagonist makes when she absorbs a shard is absolutely ear-grating to me, and it happens constantly. There's no proper mouse control in the menus or inventory menu. It's pathetic. The game seems stuck between two identities. That of an old NES game with its clunky controls and a modern, slick, graphically impressive game. If they'd just done something more original, but in a similar style, it would have been so much better. Live and learn, I guess. I'm a Jaded Gamer. Thank you for watching.